You've been warned. Kip, Terry, Tony, Legend, Case, and our special guests, we own the airwaves. Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. on Jocks 94.5. It's game time. Saturdays, 10:30, ABC 3340 television. Get ready for the SEC on ABC and get in the starting lineup. And on Sundays, 9 a.m. on Jocks, it is Kip and Terry after a great day of football, the morning after. Football weekend, total information domination.
Welcome back to the starting lineup along with Kip Keefer. I'm Tony Curry. You never know who's going to be stopping by the starting lineup every Saturday morning, 10:30, 11 o'clock right here on ABC 30-40. It is Timmy B.
Hey,
Tim Brando.
The starting lineup.
Tim Brando. His football season is never over. He's been off about 4 months, so he is chomping at the bit. Of course, his first game coming up, Fresno State, and the brand new Kansas Stadium coming up on August 23rd. Timmy, welcome to the starting lineup, my friend. How are you?
Well, it's great to be with all you guys. And I don't know how, after my preseason picks coming out, that I managed to get on your show in Alabama, but God bless you for that. I know that Legend's going to have a few things to say about it for sure, but it's great to be with you. Tony, you and I go way back, and I'm really happy to be back on with you.
And I appreciate you continually answering my phone calls, Timmy. It's a good thing. Hey, let's dive into it. Your preseason top 15's coming out. Did Alabama make the top 15? Just give me a yes or no.
They did.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
They did. But it's not where the Alabama people want it. It's not. And I listen.
Based on where you have them, it's looking like another 4-loss season. But we'll get into that in a second. We've been doing something here in the starting lineup. We've been doing our top 3 active football coaches. Some people are going all chalk with the Ryan Days and the Josh Heupels. Look at that, Kirby Smarts and stuff in the world. Kip here came with Jeff Brom, which I thought was great out of Louisville, Kentucky. I came with Jeff Traylor, despite the fact that he's 57, 58 years old. He's doing a great job at UTSA. I want you to give me your top 3 active coaches. If Timmy B was starting a football team today, who would they be in college football?
Well, I'll give you one. I'm gonna give you one out of 3 different conferences.
Awesome.
Because I think it's, you want me to think more globally, right? That's why I'm here. So if there's a coach in America that you want to have with your kid in a culture program based on culture, and give your kid a chance to maybe be better than you thought. You know, Bear Bryant used to make guys that were good better than good. He doesn't get more than a 3-star player any year in recruiting, but Matt Campbell at Iowa State does more with less than any other coach in America. He is the new Bill Snyder, if you will, who did such a great job at Kansas State all those years. I don't think there's any question that there's an opportunity to have fun and enjoy being great. I mean, enjoy being in a great elite program and at the same time have more fun while you're playing than Dabo Swinney at Clemson. I know a lot of Alabama fans can't stand him because he's at Clemson and he took two national title opportunities away. But, you know, he's got in his office, he's got that they're, you know, you got a Niagara Falls outside Nick Saban's office, and now it's Kalen DeBoer's office. But when you go to Clemson, you got a Chuck E. Cheese in there. You got a bowling alley in there. You got a slide to go from. They have fun. I mean,
the thing that he's done really well too, Timmy, is that he has not used that transfer portal like everyone else is, and he's like, I'm not doing it. And because he didn't do it last year, a lot of people are giving him a hard time. It's going to work for him this year.
Yeah, I think he got the memo. He definitely got the memo. And in the SEC, you just can't get away. I'm sorry, you just can't get away from Kirby Smart, because Kirby's been the closest thing to Saban that we've seen since Saban. And I called Kirby's games when he was playing at Georgia, as a defensive back. I want to say Ray Goff was coaching. That's going back a ways in those Jefferson Pilot days of mine. So I knew him before it was cool to know him. He coaches the way he played. He coaches like an underdog with a program that's anything but. But that's one of the reasons that they've stayed hungry, and it's one of the reasons why they've either played for national championships or won them or been on the doorstep for one since he got there.
Fantastic stuff. Ryan Day, will he ever truly be loved in Buckeye land if he never beats Michigan? I mean, he won a national title. What more do you want? But he lost to them again. Does he need to beat Michigan at least once?
Tony, I think the thing with Ryan, and I left him out of my top three because here's the issue. Unlike Clemson, you're not moping around after a loss at Clemson. You just fire up for the next one. You're an NFL franchise that's expected to win every game in Columbus, Ohio. Yeah. I mean, you just are. The pressure's to win there, whether it's Ryan Day or whoever. I just don't think it's a lot of fun necessarily to play at a place like that. And I think in some measure it used to be that way, and I think it was that way in some measure at Alabama. But Nick, because he controlled his fan base, the fan base Nick had control of, just like he had control of the team. You can't control the fan base at Ohio State. I don't care who you are. Not even Urban could. Okay, Woody Hayes could because it was a different time. It was a different era. Now that place is a major metropolitan area that has an NFL view of its college team, and I think that makes it really hard for a program to flourish over a lengthy period of time with just one coach.
I agree with you.
Tim, what's your thoughts on, we had all this kumbaya, the glorious marriage between the Big Ten and SEC who are going to run everything. And now there's some marital difficulties there between Sankey and Petitti. What are your thoughts on this kind of playoff snafu and the insisting the SEC's got to go to a 9-game schedule to be compliant with the Big Ten, and that's going to get everybody on the same page? Just your general thoughts on this kind of family feud that's developed all of a sudden.
I think it's more of a made-by-media feud. I don't think Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey have any problems with one another whatsoever. They're simply toying with the media to some extent because each of them have to deal with different levels of bureaucracy in their locales. Okay, Greg Sankey it also comes from a background of an NCAA bureaucrat. He was in charge of the infractions committee for a long period of time. He was an associate commissioner in the Southland Conference at Northwestern State. That's when I first came across him in Natchitoches, not far from Shreveport, where I live. He then became the guy that was tabbed by Mike Slive to come in and to do what? Clean up a league that had all but 2 teams on probation at the time. Wow. When Mike took over. People forget that in the SEC. They needed to clean things up. Spurrier had called out Fulmer. Fulmer had called out Alabama. It was bad. What was going on in the league was bad. And so Greg is credited, in my view, with cleaning a lot of that up. But now when we start talking about format structure of a playoff, he's got about a half a dozen athletic directors of basically the lower tier teams in the Southeastern Conference that don't want to play another game because they are trying to protect their coaches and themselves from having to make changes if they don't make bowl games. Okay, that is a priority that Greg would rather get rid of, but sadly he's having to deal with it from these presidents, and every commissioner serves at the leisure of the presidents. Okay, They do. Now, over in the Big Ten, Tony Petitti, who I believe has really more control over his presidents, he can come out with creative idea after creative idea, and he's not getting as much pushback. So he says this, Greg comes back with that. I think the issue came about because Greg allowed the media to get behind the curtain a little bit a couple of years ago and say, we've got a plan now for 9 games. Yep. And when 2 years ago, when down in Destin, they sort of poo-pooed the idea when we all thought they were going to go to 9, he created a controversy for himself. Mm-hmm. And that's where all of this smoke and mirrors is coming from now. I think ultimately these two know which direction they're going to go. They're talking to each other and probably joking with one another about, did you see what so-and-so wrote about you this week? I think that's going on. I really do. They're going to ultimately get where they want to go.
You're probably hopping on board that too. Listen, they're telling us we need to wrap up, but there's no way we wrap up Timmy B without his preseason top 15. Give them to us real quick because I know it's going to give us a lot of fodder over the next few weeks.
All right. This is going to make a few people mad.
Go, baby.
It won't be the first time. Number 15, Arizona State. They lose the great running back, but Levitt is an outstanding quarterback. I love the young coach Dillingham. 14 is Alabama. Alabama's got an issue because they don't know who their quarterback is. And you know what? To this point, Ty Simpson has not asserted himself. And I think you cannot, in this league any longer, win your conference with just a serviceable game manager at quarterback. You've got to have an elite quarterback to win in college football. I've got Boise State because they'll be the best team out of the group of 5 again. Yep. And I think potentially, even though they're the best team, they're not going to get in the top 12. Yep. There's one other team that I think has an advantage because of the quarterback position. More on that in a moment. At 12, Oklahoma. They're the sleeper pick out of the SEC. They're the team that's going to cost Alabama. John Mateer is the best transfer quarterback in the country, and Arbuckle, his offensive coordinator, is awesome. That team will lose 2 or 3 times maybe, but they will beat Alabama at Alabama again because of Mateer and because of Arbuckle.
That thud is legends falling down the backstage.
Yeah.
Retzlaff, the quarterback from BYU that comes over to Tulane, they're going to be the Boise State of this year as the group of 5 representative in the 12. The Green Wave get there. I've got Illinois 10. I've got at 9, Oregon. At 8, Iowa State. Now, if Iowa State loses in Farmageddon in Dublin, pencil in Kansas State rather than Iowa State in the 8th spot. Okay, that's a pivotal game.
It is.
On week 0. Number 7, I got Georgia. Why do I have Georgia 7? They've got more crucial home games than does Alabama. And I think even though they've got quarterback issues, just like Alabama, they'll win more games as a result. Okay, that's why I've got Georgia in the playoff and Alabama not. 6, I've got Penn State. I don't think Drew Aller's good enough to get the job done. I just don't believe in him. At 5, I've got Texas. Arch Manning is good enough to at least get them to 10-2. And if there is a team, by the way, that could lose 3 and still get in the SEC this year, it's Texas. Why? Non-conference schedule opening with Ohio State. Why? They're Texas. Why? Arch Manning. Okay, Arch Manning is a marketable product, and the committee will know that. At 4, I think LSU is a done deal this year. That's a team with Nussmeier. If he stays healthy, that team's going to be outstanding. Now, I don't think they'll win week 1. I still think they'll get into the top 4, play in the semifinals. I love the fact that Nussmeier is returning and Brian Kelly got his defense into a better position. Notre Dame is 3. If you don't like what Freeman did a year ago, when are you? Now, does Notre Dame have a new quarterback? Yeah, they do. But guess what? They've got an unbelievable running back returning. 2, Clemson. I like Clemson with Cade Klubnik to get all the way to the championship game. What they did at the end of the year, the way they performed in defeat against Texas is going to help them. Clemson will beat LSU in the opener in the other Death Valley. And number 1, a repeat performer, even though they've got a new quarterback, the Buckeyes. And why does Ohio State do it? It's because they're too good defensively. And yeah, they lost Knowles, their defensive coordinator, to Penn State. But guess who they hired? Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia, former head coach and former coordinator for Belichick with the New England Patriots. He's an outstanding defensive coach. And one player that could win the Heisman that will be the difference, I'm thinking it's going to be something besides a quarterback. Jeremiah Smith is the man. He's unguardable. You can't, as good as Ohio State is, they don't have one player that's as good as Jeremiah Smith, and neither does anybody else. So I like
Timmy
the
B,
Buckeyes.
you're making the internet explode. We've got to run because we got a lot to talk about, man. You're just giving us information for like the next 10 or 12 weeks, man. Thank you, brother.
Best play-by-play guy in the business.
No doubt.
Thank you, T-Bone.
We love you, brother. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where a spin could turn dreams into reality. Meet Sammy F., who just won over $70,000. And Orlando P., hitting the jackpot with a whopping $100,000. Feel the thrill of winning and join the dance of champions.
Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! And you can be a winner too!
Your chance to be the next big winner is here at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Southern Precision Staffing. What a great staffing company. Kai Gregory, his entire staff are wanting to staff your operation. If you're into skill work, man, you're into welding or any type of construction stuff, they'll get a gig for you. It's that easy. SPS, Southern Precision Staffing, 205-682-2828. 205-682-2828. You'll also hear that name, Kai Gregory, here, of course, on our show in the starting lineup and on K4Wins.com. We're going to have that coming up a little bit later on as well. Woodhouse Baseball. So this is now the time, Kip Keefer, to be going ahead and getting them pearly whites done. I'm talking about the ones on your fingers. I'm talking about the ones on your toes. Make sure you get nice and tan. People to come back from the beach are looking good for the winter time and the fall time for college football. You need to do the Woodhouse Baseball. Birmingham.woodhousespas.com. Birmingham.woodhousespas.com. Tell them Stuart Roan and tell them everyone sent you here at the starting lineup.
I need a refurbishing. I'm getting ready to go to my high school
refurbishing.
reunion. I'm going to show them what they could have had.
Oh, yeah. Hey, man, you've lost like 60 pounds.
Yeah, pretty good.
Looking brown. You're looking good.
Not bad.
George Hamilton Jr.
But I might have lost that much, but we're not letting you lose if you're betting on sports.
No. We got it going on with K4Wins.com. We're doing really well. Baseball season, we only have about 50 games left. And, of course, college football season. Speaking of Dublin, August 23rd, it's going to be the Big 12, which we've been breaking down in our shows, and we're going to have winter chicken dinners. You might as well have a little extra cash. Wouldn't it be nice around the holidays, not worry about how you're going to come up with money to pay your guy, and to know that he's actually going to be supplying your birthday and your Christmas and your New Year's and your entire – it's a great thing. Go make some money. It really is.
Yeah. We've had a really good run all summer long, and we're really geared up for football. If you're not catching our podcast every week, go to TKR. Download the app, and you can listen to all the time to our programs. Mm-hmm. I've also got it on my particular landing page site, kqshows.com, and you can catch us live on the TKR network.
Yep, we're on, and of course you can also check us out on the Coastal Sports Network. It's a network that runs the entire East Coast all the way down to Fort Myers, Florida, so you can check us out there. Also 102.9, the game down there, and thanks to, of course, Pete Shepard and Angel, the entire crew there at Coastal for having us on board. And
absolutely.
Take care of our sponsors. They'll take care of you right here in the starting lineup.
We're already up and running on Saturday mornings. Here's a word from Game Time.
Well, Terry, the Tide is in Baton Rouge on a Saturday night. Always the tough test against LSU. A critical game on the schedule. The offense lately sort of sputtering and inconsistent. I'm sure Coach DeBoer is tuned in. What would you tell him needs to happen for Alabama to come out with a big win?
Alabama needs to get back to running the football. This is absurd. They're trying to make Jalen Milroe into a pocket passer. The man is a phenomenal athlete. Turn him loose. Also, it wouldn't hurt to give the ball to Haynes and Miller and make that LSU defense prove that they can stop them.
And tonight in college football, Alabama gets a resounding win in Baton Rouge, demolishing the LSU Tigers 22-13. Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe was unleashed and dominated the Tigers with a career high of 185 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns.
When it's game time, everybody is listening.
Hey, it's Case Keefer back again for another edition of the Vegas Heaters as part of the starting lineup. I am a longtime sports bettor and sports betting writer, along with assistant sports editor for Greenspun Media Group, which includes Las Vegas Sun and Las Vegas Weekly. Segment this week feels a little weird. Nothing to recap for the first time in like a year. Gave out no bets that were actually settling last week because we are all in on football mode. Went through the Big Ten last week, the SEC before that. Going to stick to kind of the same format today. 2 teams to buy, 2 teams to sell in the Big 12. That's right, the Big 12, the most exciting conference in college football last year. Of course, not the best or anything, but look, you got to be honest with yourself. College football, largely a game, a sport of blowouts. It's a sport where you can watch most games to the fourth quarter, not even watch the fourth quarter and know what's going to happen. A lot of lopsided scores. That did not happen in the 2024 Big 12. Every single game almost came down to the wire. The best team, the worst team. Anyone could beat anyone on any given day. Arizona State ultimately prevails at as high as 200-1 odds to win the conference going into last year, which I think was representative of how 2024 was. Is 2025 going to be the same? I'd say kinda. I think we're not going to see, the historic nature of ups and downs of last year where just every team could beat every team. I think you will start to see some separation, but I still think it is still the closest conference to call. The future odds, you can see that up and down. There's no team 6-1 or, higher than 6-1 to win the conference. So there's a lot of cases you can make for any teams, a lot of cases you can make to sell any team. So let's get to it. I've got 2 teams to sell, 2 teams to buy. Let's start with the 2 teams to buy, and the theme for those We are going purple rain, baby. I like Kansas State and I like TCU this year in the Big 12. Two teams I've bet over their win totals. Two teams I've bet to win the conference. Kansas State is one of the co-favorites, about 6-1, the best price you can find. I fired on them at that. TCU, I actually bet 15-1 to win the conference, over 6.5, laying some juice. I think both are worthwhile. Kansas State, to me, is the one team in the conference where you go position group by position group, every single one. They are above average, probably in the top 4 of the conference. I keep hearing there's no team that's sticking out. Then I hear people make a case for, Utah, Baylor, Arizona State repeating. I don't hear anyone picking Kansas State, and I can't believe it because this team looks like it has no flaws to me. Really good up front. Avery Johnson kind of had a down year last year, kind of, had to adapt to college football. He's like a dark horse Heisman pick coming into it. Now he has that year of experience under his belt. I think the world of Chris Kleiman, their coach. I just think a lot of people are sleeping on Kansas State. To me, they are the clear team to beat. TCU, I think, checks a lot of the other boxes. The same things I talked about with Kansas State. I think they're super well-rounded. Georgia kind of took their soul, what was that, 2 years ago in the national championship game. Took them a year and a half to kind of find themselves again. I feel like it took so long that I think everyone wrote them off and kind of forgot about this program and just totally slept through the fact that they won 6 of 7 games to end last year. The defense was already playing great under Andy Avalos, who obviously didn't work out as a head coach at Boise State, but no one has ever questioned his mettle as a kind of a defensive tactician. They were good on defense. It just took getting something going on offense, and I finally think they got it under Josh Hoover at quarterback, who really broke through in the second half of last season. Now, I always think that could be a little misleading. You don't know if that's going to carry over, but you talk to scouts saying this guy has a real chance to be like a day 2 NFL draft pick if he keeps up what he did last year. I think he can do it. TCU has kind of a forgiving Big 12 schedule, so I like TCU. In terms of sell, there are a few directions I could go with this, but I wanted to go with the theme, 2 I could group together. And the theme for my 2 sell teams, gravity. I just don't like when these teams come off like the best year in program history. And what does the betting market do? Say, okay, this is the new standard. Do it again. So for me, I am selling on Arizona State and I'm selling on Iowa State. It is no hyperbole to say last year was the best year in the history of the Cyclones program. They win 11 games. They lose 2 second-round receivers, including the guy who basically rewrote the whole second round. They gave the fully guaranteed contract in Houston. That is a lot of production to replace. They won a lot of close games. I think that flips a lot from year to year. Speaking of close games, Arizona State went 6-1 in games decided by a touchdown or less last year. This was just as easily a 7-5 team as a whatever they finished 11-1 in the regular season. Yes, they caught fire at the end of the year. I still need to see it one more year. You don't go from having a win total of 3.5 to 8.5, 5+ wins. You have these spike years, but there's still a baseline. I think Arizona State's baseline is a little bit lower. Lastly, for the topic we're all talking about this week with the rest of the guys, how many of the preseason top 10 teams will be in the top 10 at the end of the year? I got to say, a lot of people make fun of these polls and don't trust them. I got to say, I've done a lot of work on this. I think you're really wrong. I think this is a kind of the old adage of wisdom of crowds, kind of statistics 101. This is a point where I think if you're doing your top 10 every year and you graded it against a top 10 like the one we're discussing today, the one with more people in it is going to come out on top. So with that said, how many are going to stick in that top 10? I'm going to go with 6. I think it's hard to make cases against any of the top 5. Although I do think one of those SEC teams, whether it's Georgia, Alabama, or Texas, one probably underachieves. I don't know which one, though, so I'm going to go with all 5 of those being in the top 10, those 3 SEC teams along with Penn State and Ohio State. Bottom 5, I'm a little bit more skeptical of. Oregon and Tennessee, I'm both selling on. I'm a slight seller on Texas A&M and Miami. I do really like Notre Dame, though, so if you're making me pin it down, I'm going to say 6 of these top 10 teams stay in the top 10. That's Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, Alabama, Texas, and Georgia. Let's see what the guys think next. Thanks for checking out another edition of the Vegas Heaters.
Hey, thanks again to Timmy B for joining us here doing Big 12 and Big 10 football. He's getting ready, of course, for the Big 12 matchup here on August 23rd. There's also a game in Dublin going on with the Big 12 as well. Kip Keefer, the legend, and Tony Curry. This is the starting lineup. We were talking about teams that were in the top 10. We just heard Timmy B's top 15. He's got Alabama 14th, by the way. Auburn is not in there, by the way. Just let you know, but he's got Tulane in there. He's got Boise State in there. He's got LSU really high. He's got Ohio State winning the Natty against Clemson. But some teams that perhaps, Kip, that aren't in there that should be in there, and then some teams that aren't in there that should be in there.
Well, the highest SEC teams in Tim's poll, of course, he works for Fox.
Sure.
That's just beside the point. Texas number 5, Georgia number 7, LSU number 4. So that's an interesting order. I was looking at the ESPN preseason poll, and Tony, you brought it up the other day on one of our radio programs that it's kind of interesting to look at that poll. Who is in there that is going to be the big misses this year? Remember last year, fellas, the preseason poll from ESPN and AP had Michigan and Florida State in the top 10. How did that work out down in Tallahassee, Larry?
Yeah, that was number 9, number 10 last year.
You know, you can't really go by these preseason polls, but I respect Timmy B so much because every year he never has Alabama in the top 10. He's so consistent. With his non-top 10, he's got Illinois in the top 10.
Oh, I know.
No Alabama. Got Illinois in there.
Let's go there. Let's go there right now. He's got Alabama 14, which means next year they'll make the playoff. This year they won't.
Yeah.
And he said the reason is their quarterback situation. What is the reason? Because there's a lot of programs out there going first. Texas, hello. I know his last name's Manning, but for God's sake, someone's got him to win the Heisman Trophy. So is it going to be Simpson? What is the quarterback situation in Alabama?
You know, it's fascinating. The great Keefer told me on the way up here today that Notre Dame, he got Notre Dame number 3 in the country, but C.J. Carr ain't thrown but 3 passes.
No.
Yeah, he's been around 2 years. He's 1 for 3 passes.
Well, I think that has a lot to do with Coach Free. It has a lot to do with their coach.
But I don't know how's he going to play opening night in Miami against the Hurricanes. It's on a Sunday night. It's all on TV. This is a guy that's never even played, basically. How is Notre Dame getting all this love?
They are
number 7 in the ESPN poll. That's my first one in this discussion, who I don't think is going to be in the top 10 at the end of the year. They play opening night at Miami. They play Texas A&M the very next week, who ESPN has number 8 in the poll. They've got them right next to each other. And then they've also got later on in the year, Boise State coming into Notre Dame, which may not sound like much.
They got 2 great running backs, and they've got over 100 starts on the offensive line.
And they've got USC on
They've got over 100 starts on the offensive line.
I don't see Notre Dame, guys. Maybe I think it's all name, and I think that's what a lot of people vote on in the preseason.
It's going to be ugly football, but I think Notre Dame's going to be okay.
Why'd you look at me when you said ugly?
We both have a face for radio, my friend.
So, guys, I wanted to discuss, too, the bottom of the ESPN poll is very interesting because it is the ESPN poll. Tim works for Fox. Their polls are quite different because the ESPN top 3 are Texas, Georgia, Alabama. Mm-hmm. That's a lot different than what you just heard from Tim. And I'm not saying he's a Fox company man. Tim thinks for himself. But the ESPN poll is really top-heavy with SEC. But the bottom 3, the 8, 9, and 10 teams in the preseason top 10, to me are just bizarre. You've got Texas A&M 8, Miami 9, who we just talked about the schedule complexities for them, hosting high-ranked Notre Dame in the first game. And number 10 is really making me scratch my head. They've got Tennessee. Yep. Now, LSU, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Tennessee ranked ahead of all of those. How do you guys feel about that?
Again, a situation where who's their quarterback going to be? And I mean, it's really, I mean, you talk about a sport now where you need all 22 guys. It's just that you look at Texas and go, okay, they got Manning, and all of a sudden they're going to win a national championship. And then you got other teams that have no quarterback, and all of a sudden they're going to win a national title because the other 21 guys. It's going to be a team concept this year in college football.
It's going to be wide open, ladies and gentlemen. In other words, anybody can win it.
Tulane?
Well, not anybody.
Timmy B's got Tulane in him, man. The green wave, they're back.
Not everybody that Timmy B.
Bring the natty to New Orleans.
Not Illinois. It's not Tulane.
You know, these matchups in the first week, there's going to be some monumental games right off the bat. Clemson is hosting, of course, LSU. That's 2 major contenders. I failed to mention, I gave you those bottom 3. They don't even have Clemson or LSU in the top 10 on ESPN.
No, and that's why we need to go to 16 teams next year because 12 just ain't enough. We're busting at the seams, just like we do every Saturday morning here in the starting lineup.